Hello, hello. Happy OCD Awareness Week. It is Friday, October 16th, 12:02 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome, welcome. As always, we'd like to give a few minutes to let people come in and get situated. Welcome to this special edition of OCD Awareness Week, Just Ethan. We have Dr. Liz McIngvale joining us very shortly. So come in, get seated, grab some soda or water, keep it healthy. And we'll start momentarily. As always, please let us know you're here. Say hello. Let us know where you're from. I should have made my bed better. It's kind of weird. Hope everyone is doing okay today. Hey, Grace, it's good to see you. Hope everyone is doing okay today. I'm sure you're just signing on as we speak. This is a special OCD awareness edition of Just Ethan with special guest, Dr. Liz McIngvale. Please say hello. Let us know you're here. We've got a fun hour planned. Lots of good conversation. Lots of good information. Hey, Dave. Hi, Kelly. Hello, Lynn. Good to see you. Let the room fill up just a little bit, and then we'll get started. Maybe another 30 seconds. So if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. We're going to get started momentarily. We've got it. Hi, Betsy. Good to see you. Yes, Liz will be joining us momentarily. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Tim. Good to see you all. Hope everyone is having a good, productive week. My two favorite advocates, your sweet Grace. Thank you. So let's go ahead and at least get some of the quick housekeeping out of the way, and then we can quickly bring Liz on. Hey, Nate from Maine. Maine is gorgeous. I've actually never been to Maine. We need to make that happen. But let me quickly get through this so we can quickly bring Liz on and have a good conversation. Hey, Nikki in Dublin. So my name is Ethan. I'm the national advocate of the International OCD Foundation. I'll explain that more in a minute. So quickly, this town hall intends to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact your local clinician. The IOCDF is not a crisis hotline and should not be used if you are in distress or feel unsafe. If you're in crisis or feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room, call 911, or call the suicide prevention hotline at 800-273-8255. As always, we want to be respectful and kind to others. We try to create as safe a space as possible. So with that, I want to introduce my dear friend and amazing OCD advocate. You all know her, president. She's the founder of Peace of Mind. She's the clinical director of McLean, but most importantly, she is an amazing advocate and an amazing friend to the OCD community. So with that, I want to welcome Liz McIngvale.
Hello.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Ethan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. And Nikki in Dublin says, hi, Liz.
Hi, Nikki. So good to see you.
So we're going to get right into it. As always, I encourage everyone to ask some questions. Go ahead and load the comment thread with questions. We're going to get to them shortly. Also of note, we will be going a full hour as well. Liz will be joining us till 12:30, and then I will be on the rest of the time. So we'll be spending the full hour with you. With that, how's your awareness week going, Liz?
Feeling a little bit tired, but also invigorated. So kind of our normal. This is kind of, I don't know how you feel, Ethan, but I feel a little bit like I do at the end of conferences where it's been an amazing week, lots of fun, and a little bit of a shift. So I have to tell you guys, I was so used to for a long time doing like nighttime engagements and talks and advocacy work. And because of COVID, most of that all stopped. And so it's been a bit of a transition the past week doing a lot more of that. So tomorrow I have a final talk with OCD UK at their conference. That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. And then I kind of wrap up. But how has your week been? And tell me a little bit about what you've been up to.
It's been good. Just engaging. We did Draw Your Monster on Sunday, which was a lot of fun with Sean Shinnick. Amazing turnout. We created a community monster, which it turned out really well. We just released the black and white of it for people to color in. So check out social media. On yesterday, Actually, on Saturday, obviously, we did the walk with Mark Summers, and we had a great time launching the walk off as well. And then yesterday we had trivia with Fran, and we had a great time. And then we had a really great, I don't know who showed up on here now, but we had a really phenomenal film festival last night, where we showed 5 or 6 films. They were excellent. We had the creators and directors on. We did a big Q&A afterwards. It was a lot of fun, but like you, feeling a little tired, but because it works in with work and all that, but all good. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been fun. It's, more than anything, yes, it might be tiring and all of that, but we know we're hopefully helping people and getting the word out, and that's why we do what we do. So we're excited to, do OCD week, but more excited to be able to keep doing the work throughout the year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. So I know you were on live stream with Jeff on Wednesday on Live with Liz, and you guys had a couple of really big announcements. First of all, you announced that Peace of Mind is merging with the IOCDF. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Peace of Mind Foundation is a nonprofit foundation that I started here in Houston roughly 2005 or so. So it's been about 15 years, and it has been an incredible journey. It's been really where I've poured a lot of my heart and soul, and the president of IOCDF, Susan Boaz, calls it my passion project. And it really has been. It's been an opportunity for me to get to start to be introduced to OCD work and to dive into the work that I know and love. And over the past 15 years, simultaneously, I've become more and more integrated with IOCDF, and I've done more things with IOCDF. I've transitioned with different roles with them. And now as a board member, I really, had a conversation, I think it was about a year ago, with Jeff and the board to say, hey, like, why don't we bring forces together? So this has been in the works for a long time, and a lot of people have, congratulated and been excited, but a couple people have said why. And I think to answer your question, the reason why is because it's all about the impact that we make, right? I do the work that I do. Peace of Mind's done the work that it's done to make a difference in people's lives with OCD. And being now acquired by IOCDF and a part of the IOCDF Foundation allows us to be able to do work that reaches even more, to do work that has an even greater impact. And so that's really why we did it, and we're super excited.
Wow. We're very excited. I know the foundation is very excited. I'm very excited. I mean, you've always been such an instrumental part, going back to when you were, in your teens and your first spokesperson role with the foundation, and really giving, your campaign a face to OCD, and then, coming full circle and back around. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It's really, really exciting. It is important. You are keeping the Peace of Mind brand and all your community focus and
we are, right? So none of the content, none of the work that we've done or that we do is going away. It's just going to become a part of IOCDF. So it will be streamlined into IOCDF's content. But the videos that Peace of Mind has, the different information, right, that will all continue to be there.
And as Stacy so beautifully put this, I so love this one community, and that is right.
Exactly.
And we are all one community. Yeah, absolutely. So with that then begs the question as to your role and what you will be doing. So we're excited to announce 2 things. One, in its infancy stages, but we're rebranding the ambassador program, and my title is National Ambassador, into the Advocate program, which I think is a much better word. It really explains directly what we do. We advocate. And so I will remain a national advocate, as well as Liz will be coming on as a national advocate as well, and taking a front facing role, as she's always done, but now more formal in this capacity. Tell us about what you plan on doing, some of the points you plan on addressing, and what you intend to bring to your role as national advocate.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this role, and I think that, it won't look that different from what I've been doing, except that we're doing it now under one community. So through Peace of Mind, I've been doing my Live with Liz and different webinars for years, and it's something that we've really done to engage the community and bring additional resources. And I think now that we are part of IOCDF, Ethan, myself, Jeff Szymanski, we all got together and said, okay, how can we make this work effectively? How can I make sure that I'm continuing to bring helpful content, but that we're also not duplicating content if some others are already doing it? And so we came up with the idea of really combining forces as national advocates. And we are looking for a 3rd national advocate as well for the foundation. And so please continue to think about if that's a role that you'd be interested in. But I know that both Ethan and myself, we've really started to say, okay, how will what we do be different, right? You have the just Ethan events that are in the evenings, and mine has always been Live with Liz, which are in the daytime. And so really, I think the focus is that I'm going to bring my awareness, bring kind of this front-facing advocacy platform to IOCDF versus having it be separated or held under Peace of Mind. But then also I will be doing a lot more of kind of the professional discussion. So when I do my Live with Liz, it's consumers, it's professionals, it's everybody. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I try my best to answer them with my professional clinician hat, of course, without giving specific treatment advice. But I will focus a lot on kind of introducing clinical concepts, introducing clinical diagnostic criteria, and kind of speaking, not to say more to professionals, but with professionals brought on. And although, Ethan, you do the same, I think yours will be much more about also engaging the community versus mine might be more about engaging professionals. But we will work hard to make these very collaborative, and again, to just bring different perspectives. I think that if we stick, when I first started with the foundation, when I was 17 and I was the first ever national spokesperson, it was amazing. And the work was just incredible. But really, I was it, right? And like, just Liz's perspective isn't the only perspective you guys want to hear. And so the point of these live events will be to be hosted by different individuals, myself, Ethan, and another advocate eventually, but also to bring on guest speakers, to bring on, guest professionals who can give their insight, their perspective, because it's not a one size fits all.
I have to say too, Liz, I remember her speaking when we talked speaking about this being a full circle moment for her. My God, there's a creature behind you.
That's Theodore.
Hi, Theo.
Theo, say hi. Come
hi,
here.
Theodore.
Come say hi. It's Bring Your Dog to Work Day at McLean here.
Is it? Hi, Theodore.
Hi, though. Sorry.
He's cute. No, but when we were talking, you were talking about, what a cool full circle moment it is for you to sort of, had create a peace of mind and then come back around. And what I'll say too is it's a full circle moment for me too, because I first joined the spokespeople, you and Jeff Bell, in 2015, and I learned so much about advocacy from you and Jeff, and then we did the road trip, and I learned so much about just how to tell my own story and how to advocate effectively, and I just learned so much from you. And so in a way, like, you coming back and joining me now is so much fun. I'm so excited, but it's also very full circle and meaningful to me as well. So I'm so excited to continue to join forces in the way that we've had. We've always been partners in this and with everybody else, but I know we're very community focused. So to be able to really spend time working on this together, I'm really excited about it.
Same. I couldn't agree more. And I think the comment posted earlier about one community is really what it's about, right? How do we all do our work, we all do advocacy work, but I think IOCDF is working really hard to bring it all to one platform so that it's more community friendly, it's more consumer friendly, right? Everybody can find us all in one place now.
Absolutely. And just to read off some comments, first of all, hi, Manal in Hong Kong. Thank you for tuning in. Betsy wrote, very excited for Peace of Mind and IOCDF joining efforts, 2 wonderfully committed groups. Dave wrote, all your work is amazing and much needed. Thank you for all you're doing. Theodore got some love. He's a beautiful dog. Simon wrote, the community monster is incredibly accurate. Yeah, Theo got lots of love.
He steals the show, so can't help.
He's pulling focus. I don't like it. Get rid of him. Becky wrote, I want to come to your work today. He is so cute.
He is.
What do I have? Nothing.
So this is for OCD week here at McLean. We are doing something every day. So we've done your OCD character facing your fears. And so today is about self-care. So we encouraged employees to bring something that represents self-care. So for most of us, it's Bring Your Dog to Work Day.
I like that. I would have brought a massage therapist.
Yeah, during COVID it was a little tough, but I think any other time would have made sense.
Yeah, any other time. Yeah, exactly. If Theo gave massages, that'd be amazing. So as always, I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and ask questions. As far as our predetermined conversation, we really wanted to update you guys on all the things that were happening from the merger to our roles. And with that, it's important to note that as we build out the new advocate program, we're really taking a look at ways in which we can further engage the community in advocacy, ways we can involve everyone, from lead advocates all the way down to grassroots advocates, really getting a good idea of what you want to do, how you want to be involved, how we can get you involved, and ways that we can accommodate what's important to you. And I'm really excited for Liz to bring her expertise to that as well, be on our bi-weekly meetings or bi-monthly meetings and be able to really weigh in and help us build this out a lot.
Totally. And I think I just want to add in, because I know I'm going to have to hop off at the half an hour mark, and Ethan's going to stay on with you guys today to really be able to continue his just Ethan. But, I think for me, one of the things I just wanted to talk about too quickly is that our goal is not to speak just to what's important to us, right? Like that's why we do the work that we do, but our goal is to serve you all. And so I want to push you guys that as we start to think about IOCDF taking on the Peace of Mind community and becoming this all-in-one community advocacy, of course, professional content, resources, group, foundation, what can we do that would better serve you, right? So I want to push everyone and ask the question of, what do you need from us? What are some things that you feel like are missing? What are things that you feel like, man, that would be really helpful? And maybe it's certain content, maybe it's certain speakers, maybe it's something totally different, but can we work to make that accessible? And I think the big announcement today is that we're joining forces again. And we've been separate, but we've been together. We haven't actually ever totally been separate, but we're finally back in one place. And I don't think there's any greater news than that, because at the end of the day, the only reason I do the work that I do, the only reason Ethan does the work that he does, and any of the staff members at IOCDF do the work that they do, is to serve you guys, right? It's to enhance resources, support around OCD. It's to break down the stigma and stereotypes that exist around this mental health condition. And so I just wanted to kind of say that before we move on to questions, just how excited I am and how great I really think this is going to be.
Thank you, Liz. The feeling is very, 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 very mutual for myself and the IOCD. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, I was going to say, do you want to introduce kind of what our talking schedule is going to start to look like from here on out?
Yeah, I absolutely can. I have some written down. I was gonna say at the end. So basically,
okay.
Actually, let me put.
Don't worry, if you're gonna do it at the end. I just want to make sure everybody knows. Okay, well, what will it actually look like? Like, we have a plan.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be implemented.
I was even going to talk about plans for next week and all the stuff that you're doing and I'm doing and all the programming for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. So probably the most important question that's been asked, and I'll ask Jess to put Simon's question up at 12:16 p.m. Liz, you're the only one that can answer this. I won't even read it out loud. Just if 12:16 p.m. Jess, Simon.
Can Theo be the third national IOCDF advocate? I mean, we're gonna have to put a petition together and see if Jeff is comfortable. But I mean, I don't see an issue with it. So, Ethan.
I feel good. I feel pretty good about that. I realize he'll be cuter than both of us, but I think sometimes cuteness is necessary. I think he'll bring a lot to the table. So I think that's a great suggestion, Simon. We are open to everything, so we'll take it under serious consideration. Thank you. Next, we have Phyllis at 12:17. I will throw this out to Liz, although I have thoughts as well. How can someone with body dysmorphic disorder incorporate national advocacy specific to BDD as part of the OCD advocacy within the IOCDF?
Great question. And I think the answer is we're continuing to hash this out and work on it. One of our big initiatives is making sure that related disorders to OCD get a spotlight bigger than what they've gotten previously. We do our best, but we know that they are not in the spotlight the same way OCD is traditionally, but it's really, really important. And so I'm going to let Ethan introduce who's actually going to be taking on that role, because we have a specific person who is already doing this and will continue to enhance. But really, I think that's one of our goals too, is to start to create kind of advocate subgroups of who has this background, who has that specialty, so that we're bringing that on.
Absolutely. So our dear friend Chris Stronston will be heading up specifically focused on body dysmorphic disorder, BDD advocacy. Chris has been doing it for years. He's an incredible advocate for BDD. He shares his story in such amazing, raw, honest, real ways. Many of you probably know Chris from the conferences. He started the young adult track and helped facilitated it. He's just an amazing guy, a dear friend of ours, and the perfect person to start to launch this and really set the precedent for related disorder subgroups, as Liz just said. So the answer is absolutely yes, we can. And I think Chris has a good roadmap to do it and is already doing it. Phyllis, if you're interested in getting involved or want to know more, definitely email us. I always give out my email. You can email justethan@iocdf.org or info@iocdf.org. We'll give those out at the end, and we can definitely connect you, keep your name and interested and help, your path along to advocate for BDD, but is definitely on our radar, along with many other, whether it's hoarding or ASD or BFRBs, any of those things. We're really looking at ways in which we can advocate better for related disorders in addition to OCD. So thank you, Phyllis. Great question. Cheyenne, I'm actually going to throw this out to Liz because you speak about this a lot. Cheyenne at 1218 wrote, please speak on OCD in the workplace. It can be difficult to have the conversation with your manager. I've been very lucky to have supportive patient managers and coworkers, but not everyone is.
Yeah, and Ethan, I think we should do a talk on this again. I know myself, you and Dr. Janicki did this at the conference one year, and it was just so important because really, I think there's not a one size fits all answer either. My perspective is different than Ethan's, which is different than a clinician's and different than other people's. And so it's really, listen, the first thing I'll say is we need change, right? We need change across the board for how mental health is treated, for how OCD is viewed, for how employers understand and support it. I know Dr. Cicada, one of our employees right here at McLean, does like a bi-monthly HR call where she does a lot of work and advocacy around mental health, specifically to increase awareness, because that's really where it starts, right? It starts at HR at bigger corporations, being able to have plans in place, being able to support employees appropriately, and it starts with shifting and changing that language. We have a lot of work to do. I will say IOCDF is really starting to we're trying to spend a lot more time focusing specifically on public policy. And public policy for us would also include, things like this, right? How do we change employer and workplace perceptions? How do we help them better understand OCD, other mental health conditions, and how to support their employees. But I think for me, it's really a need to know, right? At what point do I feel there's going to be employees who I get close to, right, at my job that I'm going to be willing to share, and they're supportive and they're good advocates and supporters and friends. But then there's some that I might not be that close to, but there comes a point where they need to know, right? Maybe I need to take a leave of absence. Maybe I need to help better understand why it's important for me to have, lunch hour off every Thursday because I'm doing my teletherapy session or whatever might be going on if it's conflicting with them, but it is their job to support it in a way that they can, right? Disabilities like OCD are a protected class. And so I think that it's a tough one. We could do a whole seminar, and we should do an entire talk on it. So I think, Ethan, let's definitely plan to add that to our agenda. And I'd love all these questions to come in advance, because I also think that it might be really good for us to bring like a patient advocate, somebody who knows the law and legal ramifications behind this as well, to be able to really share what your rights are. But I think for me, it's about treading water. Right? It's about kind of sharing a little bit and seeing who I feel comfortable to share more with when I need to.
I have nothing really else to add. Liz is so good on that subject. All I'll say is also understanding and checking in with yourself why you're sharing. And if it's because you want people to know just for the sake of knowing, or you would feel better, or you feel like you're hiding a secret, that's very different than it affecting your job in a certain way, and you needing to address it in a productive and healthy way. Real quick, Simon wrote, but Simon who requested Theodore, which we're still seriously considering, Simon, but he wrote, in all seriousness, the news is amazing, and thank you both for always doing what's best for the community, even though I'm sure it's often robbing you both of some well-deserved sleep. Who needs sleep? It's overrated. Liz, let's get one more question. And this is a great question. So Grace at 1219 asks, what are some ideas you guys recommend in regards to becoming a much larger scale, larger outreach advocate? She corrected it down, while at the same time working multiple jobs, or how can I get more involved in directly IOCDF related advocacy?
So I had this question this morning in my staff meeting where they said, Liz, do you sleep? Because I talked about how I have a talk tomorrow and then I have class tomorrow because I'm also doing my MBA, and we went on. And my response to that, and because I'm gonna have to hop off, and Ethan, I'll let you answer the IOCDF part, is start small and work your way up, but it's also okay to say no. And so those are like conflicting messages. You're like, Liz, that doesn't make any sense. But what I mean by that is that it's about slowly starting advocacy work in the way that makes sense for you, right? If certain levels of advocacy don't make sense, you're not comfortable with them, you don't need to do them. And I think people think, oh, advocacy means I have to go on a national platform and share my details of my OCD story. And that's not the case, right? Advocacy looks so different. For some people, it's sending educational material. For some people, it's volunteering for IOCDF. For some of us, it's putting a post on Facebook, right? it's different, and it's good and healthy that it's different. We don't want all of us doing the same advocacy and for it to look the same. But what I will say is that Ethan and myself, right, we've always had employment and full-time jobs and do this in addition, right? Like, this is something that it's our passion project. It's what we love. It's what motivates us. And so with that, I will say the way I've learned to juggle it is to also learn to say no, right? So I'm not the best at this, but because tomorrow I'm obviously have a talk, but like, typically I don't do talks on weekends, right? Unless it's OCD week. That week I always kind of say, okay, I'm willing to. But other than that, I say no, because those are times that I need to be able to have some space and to be able to say no. But also, I don't do talks every weeknight when things are busy like that. It's not healthy for me. And so it's about kind of starting and learning and being able to say what is a useful part, like what is something that I'm willing to do no matter what, and that this actually isn't going to drain me because it fills me up, versus what are the things that do drain me, and can I say no to them if needed?
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. I'll continue answering that question. I have some thoughts, but I want to give Liz a chance to breathe before next thing. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
See everybody here on Monday.
Yeah, she will be here on, I'll quickly tell you, she had to go, but on Monday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, Lunch and Learn with Dr. Liz. Her topic will be OCD and PTSD, and she'll have guest Chad Wetterneck to discuss that. I like when I go into like reading mode, and I flick my finger like it's I'm ridiculous. So I love this question, Grace. So additionally, I will add, I work in film industry. I consult. I write. And then, like Liz, I have multiple work streams, and then the advocacy stuff, which is, my greatest passion. It is the reason I know that it was the reason I was put on this earth, and it is one of the most meaningful things I get to do, is to serve this community and help educate anyone I can. But it is difficult to manage, multiple work streams and advocacy, especially when you're doing advocacy full time. There's not a day. Every single day is answering multiple emails and planning live streams and discussing outreach and programming and things like that. So it is, very much another job. And Liz said it. I'm learning to say no. I'm probably not as good at it as Liz, but I'm learning to say no in places, and you just have to, because if you burn out, you can't serve. Sort of, put your oxygen mask on yourself before someone else. But Liz nailed it too. Start small, put your foot in, one step at a time, get a real sense of what advocacy feels like for you, find your niche, what's important to you, what's meaningful to you, what subjects you want to focus on, and really find your passion. And then from there, you can start building, building out for sure. I think that, at the end of the day, it's amazing to me. I've never been in a community where people have wanted to advocate more than this community, just because OCD and related disorders are just so torturous. They're so exhausting. They steal so much time. And I mean, all of us, whether we're better or getting better or in the throes of it, also want to make sure that nobody has to go through what we went through. And so the next obvious choice is advocacy. And it also helps us make sense of everything that we've been through. It helps me make sense of my life. And, lastly, it's one of the best things you can do for your own OCD. It's treatment. It's really, really effective treatment. You guys support me just as much as I feel like I support you, or I hope that I support you. And so, so answering some of those questions for yourself, and know that you can pivot at any time. So I know lots of people on social media, they're created accounts. Some people keep it anonymous, and they just have a creative name and they support community that way. Or you can be yourself. I've known people that started out anonymous and then go into, divulging who they are and taking more of a personal role. There's so many amazing ways to advocate now, from social media and blogs and vlogs, and as Liz said, or supporting the IOCDF, or stuffing envelopes, or we do Christmas cards and have different events throughout the year. So we'll have lots and lots of opportunities as we build out the new advocacy program. We will also continue to have more and more opportunities. But that's a great question, Grace. I'm sure we touched on a few things. So so hopefully that answers for everybody. So it is me. I'm here. It is now just Ethan. We didn't plan that, but it's just Ethan now. It's just Ethan. But we're very excited. I'm very excited to be back working closely with Liz in this capacity, and I hope you are too. Let's continue some conversation and some questions. I want to hear how you're doing, how your OCD awareness week is going. So and Stacy wrote, "What can we do to help you?" I appreciate that, Stacy, and spread the word. That's the thing. I think this ties back into Grace's question a bit about advocacy. If you want Jess at 12:20 p.m., Stacy wrote, "What can we do to help you?" I think we have to frame what advocacy looks like. And what I mean by that is, to Grace's point, it can be very easy to sort of identify advocacy as what Liz and I do, or what Chris Tronston does, or, sort of on these big national levels speaking, but I honestly believe and know that the most effective thing to advocate is to share your story and to be there to listen to other people and have that one-on-one interaction. That is literally the most effective way to advocate. And I always call people that are viewers and asking questions or giving insight advocates, because that's literally what you're doing. When you share your story with me, regardless of it, even if you're just struggling, even if you don't know even you're not trying to advocate, you're just simply trying to tell me what's going on in your life. You're being brave enough to open up about a deeply personal matter that possibly lots of people don't know about in your life. And when you tell me about your story, it does a few things to me, right? It emotionally touches me. I identify with your pain. I sympathize with your pain. I many times empathize with your pain and what you're going through. But it also is a constant reminder of me to walk my walk, right? Or to walk my talk. I come on and I tell you what's going on in my life, and I give suggestions and tips lived based on my own lived experience and how to continue to fight and resist OCD. But you hold me accountable. All of you hold me accountable. Accountability is key. And anytime I go to any given day when I have the desire to compulse, I'm not perfect in not compulsing. I'm pretty good at it. But I will say that one of the reasons I feel like I'm pretty good at resisting is because of you. Is because whenever I feel the need to compulse and I'm having obsessive thoughts, immediately I think, I can't go on to a live stream and tell everyone to do X, Y, and Z if I'm not doing it myself. And so you're just as much advocates in my own life and my own recovery as I hopefully serve a small role in yours. So advocacy, so to help, just being willing to talk about it and engage the community, get involved in support groups, virtual or otherwise, be willing to share your story, let people know that they're not alone. Those are just such beautiful ways to initially advocate in a safe space. So Nate, I think we answered your question. How does one become a national advocate? Phyllis, I'm so glad. Phyllis wrote, excellent choice, Chris and mom Liz. So Chris Tronson, who we were talking about, BDD, his mother Liz, are both very, very involved. I'm so glad you reached out to them. Sorry, the comments always adjust, and that drives me crazy when it does that. Kelly wrote, this is on the work and divulging OCD to your manager. I don't think they need to know unless you want to tell them. I eventually shared because my therapy appointments got in the way. I agree with that, Kelly. I think with OCD, it's a lot like OCD in dating. When do I tell? When is it necessary? And I think, we are all morally scrupulous to some extent. We feel a moral obligation to, OCD wise, we many times feel a moral obligation to confess this secret that we're hiding. And that's not necessarily reality, And so similar to a date, when do I tell her? I mean, I remember when I first started dating, I felt like it was the first thing I had to tell people. Like, oh, by the way, I have OCD, and sometimes it gets bad. And so, if you don't want me, just decide now. Don't do that. It's a terrible way to date. But, what you realize is the importance of your OCD is relative to how much it's affecting your day to day. So the more engaged you are with your OCD, the more important it is to you in that moment. And the goal is for it to not be important at all. And whether you're there now in maintenance, whether you're managing, whether you're in treatment or therapy, those are all extremely great places to be. Or if you're looking for therapy, or even just you're here. But at the end of the day, how we relate to our OCD is really how involved we are with it. The less important it is in our lives, the less we really care about talking about it. I don't necessarily see it as something people need to know about me. Now, of course, everybody knows it about me because I talk about it a lot. But my point is, it doesn't define who I am. It doesn't define my day to day. It doesn't define why I take the actions I take. And therefore, it doesn't really affect what I'm doing on any given day for the most part. I definitely have hard days for sure, as I always talk about. So therefore, for me to divulge my OCD to somebody that may not know isn't necessary most of the time, unless I'm advocating. But if I were, let's say, getting a new job, I have to ask myself, is my OCD going to affect my job? Is there a reason they need to know in terms of job performance? In Kelly's example, it wasn't necessary. It doesn't even need to be OCD specific. Although she shared, which is lovely, but she needed to schedule therapy appointments. And so when a need arises, I think that makes a lot of sense. But one thing we have to be mindful of is, and I touched on this a bit after Liz answered your question, is why we want to divulge. Why is it important to us? Because we often feel there's this deep yearning to sort of let people know as if we're lying and being a bad person for holding it back. I don't personally think that that's a good reason to share. You always want to lead with your values. And so, therapy is value driven for Kelly. It's what she needs to stay healthy. It's what I every Wednesday, or actually it changed, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm talking to my therapist. And the people that need to know that, because that's what I need to do for me. So I hope that helps add on to what you were saying. Advocate meetings, Stacey, that's a great idea. We should have check-ins. We do have advocate meetings internally to discuss all the programming and everything. But what are your thoughts on doing, maybe even advocate emails, ways to further engage you guys in asking you questions and getting topics and thoughts? Although we always encourage you to please email us and please ask us for your thoughts and opinions and suggestions. We love all of that. Dave wrote, weekly live talks with OCD experts would be great if possible. So Dave, I can touch on a little bit of programming. As always, as you know, since March, I've been hosting town halls. The IFCDF has been producing town halls. We've always had to strive to have experts on as well as lived experience. With Liz now, we can actually double our efforts to produce live content every week. And I guess now's a good time to go into how the programming is going to work. So every week will be 2 live streams. One live stream will be either a town hall that's community focused. So that's my wheelhouse. So I'll be engaging you guys. It'll be like the town halls we've been having before, where I'll typically have 1 expert and 2 lived experience, or 2 experts and 1 lived experience. And we'll be really engaging you in the community and discussing a specific topic, whether it's a subtype of OCD or related disorder, or even we've done grief and ACT and different modalities of treatment. Along with that, in a week will be either a live with Liz, which is Liz's lunchtime half-hour live stream, or a Just Ethan, right? So typically Just Ethan. So here's an example. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. I'm tired. No, I'm kidding. I'm not crying. So next week on Monday is Liz's PTSD live stream with Chad. And then Tuesday will be my Just Ethan episode. The following week, I will have my town hall, and Liz will have her live with Liz. So my town hall will be on Thursday. Live with Liz will be on Wednesday. So you'll be getting 1 of each. So 2 total every week. And so, yes, Dave, that's the long-winded answer of saying our goal is to actually give you OCD experts twice a week, if possible, along with Q&A. Now, again, Liz is more on the professional. She'll be interviewing typically 1 person, an expert, and they'll be discussing whatever that topic is. She may take questions ahead of time, but most likely it's her interviewing and getting the heart of honestly what you want to know. It's completely still community focused and hopefully answering the questions that you have anyway. Let's see here. It did seem like a teacher move. I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you for saying that. Ethan, your IFCDF job is a full-time job. You are so great at what you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying that. Sorry, I'm looking for questions. Simon wrote, I always wondered how OCD symptoms played into being an advocate for OCD. And it sounds like the ability to say no to things when you're running out of steam is like resisting a very well-intentioned yet ultimately damaging compulsion. What a great comment. So Simon's basically asking, OCD symptoms playing a role as an advocate, when to say no. This is a great topic of conversation. When I first got asked to do the keynote in 2014, I was picked in February, not giving the keynote until July. And I remember in April or May, I was having a real struggle with OCD. And I remember going to my therapist's office and saying to her, I can't give the keynote. And she was like, why not? I said, well, I'm struggling. How can I get up in front of everybody and tell them my story and my journey and how great I'm doing now? Oh, if I'm not doing great right now. There is, and of course, she's like, that's OCD. Good times, bad days, hopefully more good days than bad. That's the process. And embrace the process, and the idea of being honest in your advocacy, being transparent in your advocacy, me being able to come on and say, I had a rough week. Here's why, is such a powerful thing to do. And so I will say that in the early parts of my advocacy, as things got bigger and bigger and bigger, I was definitely nervous about struggling. I didn't feel like I had the right to struggle or have an off day or have an off week. I beat myself up. I self-stigmatized a lot more for doing it because I wanted to, be there for everyone, and I didn't want to ever have an issue. I kind of wanted to be a Superman, which obviously is not possible. It's not feasible. You can't do that. And ultimately, all I did was hurt myself. In not only trying to be all things to everybody, but also really not give myself self-compassion and grace when I was struggling. But the answer to your question is, the OCD doesn't change just because I'm an advocate. I have good days, I have bad days. I'm in maintenance. My life is full. I'm able to experience joy and serenity and be in the present moment most of the time. But I definitely have bad days and bad weeks here and there. And sometimes those land on advocacy times as well. And the bottom line is, it's okay to experience both. Who better to understand what you're going through than the IOCDF? At first I was nervous about telling, Jeff, the executive director, when I had an engagement, like, listen, I can't do this. I'm really struggling right now. But who better to understand than the clinicians and the people that run this? So that's a great question. And definitely self-care is key. Self-care is key. You have to take care of yourself, and it's a process. You learn it over time as you advocate. And definitely when you start advocating, I was all in. I wanted to touch base with everybody and make sure that no one suffered, even if it was millions of people. And I spent 4 months answering every email and joining every Facebook group, and I burned out within 4 months. So finding your groove is really important. But the idea, it's almost an ACT thing or an OCD thing, right? We want to bring everything with us and do it anyway. And this is no different. If I'm feeling uncomfortable, if I'm having OCD thoughts, then I'm going to bring it with me, and I'm going to advocate to the best of my ability. And I'll always be honest with you and let you know where I am and what I'm doing, because it's important that you not only see Ethan the advocate, but you say Ethan the OCD individual with OCD as well, because that's reality. So hopefully. Meg wrote, struggling with whether or not I will ever actually be recovered. What do you personally think this means? Great question, Meg. I have this conversation a lot. And one of the fears is, that it's going to be this hard for the rest of my life. It's going to be the struggle the rest of my life. What if I have these thoughts the rest of my life? What if I have these feelings the rest of my life? What if I have to fight the rest of my life? What does being recovered mean? That's such a great question. Yes, Jess. Sorry. 12:34 p.m. Meg Upton. She's going to post your question up just so everybody can see what I'm talking about. So I don't personally use the word recovered. I like that word. I just haven't used it. I don't have a problem with it. I think I always talk about maintenance and management. Again, Jess, it's 12:30. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Cute baby. Aw, congratulations. I'm assuming it's yours. I mean, you may have just found it and like, this will be cute in a picture, and you just took the picture with the baby, and that's okay too. No judgment. But either way, cute baby. I always use the term, in maintenance, in recovery. Let's look at another disease as an example. My friend has MS, and she does everything she can to make sure she lives a healthy, full life. And, some days it's really bad, regardless of whether she's doing the right thing or not. It's really bad. It just is. and other days it's really good. And OCD works very similarly. You can be doing everything right, and OCD can flare up, and or you can be having a really rough time. And so it's up and down. You hope for more ups than downs. But maintenance to me is, on the day to day, OCD does not impact my life or affect the decisions that I make or the actions that I make. Doesn't mean that I'm not having the thoughts. I have thoughts every day. Some days I don't have thoughts. Some days it's pretty quiet up there. Other days it's really loud. But the question is, are you compulsing? Are you able to be in the moment, or are you in your head, right? So for me, recovered in maintenance, recovering, really to me means, that for the most part, you are functioning, you are engaged in value-driven activities, you are spending very little, if no time, compulsing. The thoughts are the thoughts, you can't control them. The feelings are the feelings, you can't control them. But as you stop and resist compulsions, those thoughts and feelings go away. They get quieter and quieter till they're a whisper as opposed to a scream, right? And so I absolutely think that anyone on this stream and anyone with OCD can be recovered, right? But recovered almost sounds like cured, or you're well from OCD. And OCD is a chronic neurobiological condition. You have it for the rest of your life as of right now. But the beautiful thing is there's really effective treatment for it, and it doesn't have to affect your everyday. So like I said, my goalpost is more good days than bad. More good days than bad. That's how I look at life. That's how I approach my life. So, if I have one bad day in a week or two bad days in a week, that's an awesome week. Most of the time for me, it's a few days in a month. And that's an awesome month. And sometimes life is hard or life is good, and those bring up stressors and struggles for me. And but I absolutely think that in the sense that you're talking about, recovered simply means managing, right? Successfully managing, to where it's not affecting your day to day. Same with diabetes. If you're not managing your diabetes, you're having a rough day. If you're on insulin and taking your meds and eating healthy diet and exercising, then you're having a lot more good days than bad. And that's what we want to do with OCD. But I personally believe that anybody with OCD can reach sort of the stage of maintenance, the stage of managing, the stage of recovery. And what you'll find is when you do have a hard day, when you do struggle, it's very important not to frame that as a relapse. We need to frame that as OCD. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that say, "Oh my God, it's back." Why? Because you have OCD. That's always the answer to why. Yes, there may be stressors. Yes, there could be good stressors. There could be bad stressors. But the why is OCD. That's always the why. Why is it back? Why am I struggling now? Everything is good in my life. Everything's going great. I just got this huge promotion. I just bought this beautiful house. Why am I struggling with my OCD now when everything is good? Because you have OCD. And OCD is triggered by stress. And there's good stress and bad stress. So we can definitely get into the minutia of the why. But if we just embrace this idea of because I have OCD, then becomes, well, what do I have to do about it? Well, I'm going to engage in my exposure response prevention or my acceptance commitment therapy. I'm going to use my tool belt. Thinking tools and skills at the same time. I'm going to use my tool belt and skills to, really resist and engage. Not a relapse, not at all, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a spike, little bump. You have to engage the tools a little bit more, but you do, it goes away pretty quickly, and then you're back going. And then you try not to make so much about those bumps. You just recognize them as part of the process. Nikki wrote, I never knew how to say no. I learned the hard way. I can say no and I'm better person for it. We have to be kind to ourselves. It is so hard to say no, Nikki. I totally agree with that. I find as you get older, it becomes easier. Maybe that most of the time I just because I'm tired, but I think perhaps that's possibly why. So Kelly, back to our work thing, wrote, Ethan, I had my local therapist here in Austin write a letter for me. I just turned it into HR, not my direct manager. It was very helpful. I think that's a great example of don't be afraid to ask for support, especially in these kind of ways where, something like this is very effective and it may not be necessary for you to take it on yourself or bringing an expert in that can write a clear and concise letter in this way is really, really effective and probably reduces the chance of stigma. In her case, she had a very understanding support system at work, which is wonderful and does now. But I love that. I think you should always consult with your therapist or ask for allies. It's the same thing, in school when students need accommodations. They have allies that that's not the right word. I'm just learning about this in our education series, but there are people that come and advocate for their needs. And sometimes, you should always advocate for yourself, but having support in that, there's no shame in that. That's in fact the best way to go about it. You're welcome, Judy. So Simon wrote, if anyone's curious, Made of Millions initiative, Made Academy will be releasing materials about mental health and the workplace early next year. Yep, Made of Millions is great. They did their Dear Manager campaign, which is addressing mental health in the workplace. They talk about all mental health, not just OCD. So you'll definitely want to check up on that link for sure. Hello from Israel. Where are you in Israel? That's awesome. Welcome for sure. Patty wrote, you're doing great. My young adult son has struggled with OCD since birth, more or less. He's fighting back more and more recently. That's wonderful to hear, Patty. So excited to hear that. Judy wrote, is there an email list where you can share the schedule for live sessions? If you go to IOCDF has a calendar online. I'm not 100% sure if it's updated, but it'll be updated shortly. We can put a link. We'll put a link up to it on the stream. We usually put it up at the end. And we can also put it in the but that's the best way. If you go to the calendar, you can load up your own calendar with all the events, and that's where you can find out about all the live sessions. Ethan, I would give you a hug if I could. You look like you could use a hug. Aw, do I really? I'll always take a hug. There you go. iocdf.org/calendar to get all of the dates and times for all of the live streams and any other events that may be going on hosted by the IOCDF. So. Somebody else asked where you can find that out. I would love a hug. Who misses hugs? I miss hugs. I'm a huggy guy. I'm a touchy-feely guy. I really like human contact. I miss going up to friends and giving a hug and seeing how you're doing. I miss that. So I will take your virtual hug. I can always use a hug. Thank you so much for all the sweet and kind words. I really, really appreciate all of you. Just looking for some questions here. I'm glad that you appreciate me being real and authentic. It's important. It's very, very important. I never want to be anything other than who I am. Patty wrote, great example. And the more you find laughter, joy, be the OCD boss, not OCD, and find gratitude and lessons learned, and you are stronger than you think. Yeah, I recently saw a list of OCD quotes that I absolutely loved. And I'm going to have to find them. On Tuesday, I'm doing a special, I'll tell you about this at the end, but I'm doing a special edition of Just Ethan that you're not going to want to miss. I'm giving away tons and tons of really cool prizes. There's a cool list of OCD quotes that I recently came across, and I need to find it because there is one right now that is coming to mind that I'd love to, about strength, finding your strength. Pittsburgh OCD Clinic was the best thing I did because it was a group setting. We were all going through it together 4 days a week. We did exposure and response prevention. I went from taking 4-hour showers, raw skin, to 40 minutes now. That's amazing, Cheyenne. Congratulations. Absolutely. You're absolutely not alone in this fight and this struggle. We're all here with you. And that's amazing. And it will continue to get better. Consistency, patience, and just taking baby steps is not, is the key to this process. And so congratulations. Yes, you are not alone. I always say, your OCD is not unique. You're not special. OCD, you, the individual, you're very special, but your OCD is not. Your OCD is not special. It's not unique. No matter how interesting, how it manifests, it is not special. It's OCD. And the quicker we realize that, because I know for me, when I was struggling, I thought I was the only one that had my OCD. Regardless of subtype, I thought mine was the worst. Mine was the most intense. No one struggled more than me. And it made it really hard to get better because I couldn't relate to anybody, but really I just didn't let myself relate to anybody. And that was unique to my own experience, my entire journey, which makes up our journeys are all unique. The OCD itself, not so much, but taking that stance of nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody has what I have. Nobody understands me, really impeded my ability to get better for a long time until I finally just relinquished. So I love that you're getting better. Congratulations. Just join in. What strategies do you have? Do you recommend for accuracy obsessions? By accuracy, do you mean reading words or symmetry? I mean, as always, we want to promote exposure response prevention. So if in whatever way you're trying to be accurate, I would encourage you not to be accurate. I would encourage you to mess things up. Of course, I'm not a therapist. I'm just an advocate with lived experience. So I would always say engage a professional. But exposure response prevention is the gold standard first line treatment. Acceptance commitment therapy is also an exposure treatment and was game changing in my life. But typically you want to expose yourself to discomfort, and then response prevention, prevent yourself from responding in a compulsive way. So whatever your obsession is, ideally, we would like to not do whatever it is. And in fact, let's say you're reviewing something over and over again to make sure that it's accurate or perfect. You want to maybe do it once and then let your brain say that it's not accurate, it's not perfect, it's a mess, it could be wrong. What if I send it to somebody? What if they think I'm stupid or dumb? And just not check it again and sit with that discomfort and let that reality maybe possibly be true, and apply that to everything moving forward. We are running out of time. I really appreciate all your questions and comments and suggestions and just beautiful kindness today. I really appreciate your kindness and my virtual hug. So thank you. Stacy wrote, thank you for sharing, for answering my question. How can I share my OCD story with you and not just on FB and Instagram? I think we learn to coexist with OCD if we have the tools to do so. Tools like counselors, other patients, behavioral therapies, family support, spouse support. I want to say so much and don't know where to say it. Hugs, hugs, hugs from me too. Thank you for being honest and open. You're welcome, Stacy. You can always start by emailing me. So we'll start with my email address just now. It's justethan@iocdf.org. Jess will put that up on the screen, and you can email. There it is. And any one of you can email me anytime, whether you want to share your story, whether you want to have questions that I didn't get to, thoughts, suggestions for future live streams. Never hesitate to email me. And then I want to talk about, so thank you again for showing up. I encourage everyone to read all of the amazing comments, and everybody was advocating for themselves, and I had so much fun, and I know Liz did too. So thank you for me. Thank you for Liz. Renee, no worries. It'll be recorded, so you can go back and watch the whole thing on Facebook or YouTube. So I'm gonna be selfish for a second and tell you, next week, Just Ethan will be starting on a new time, same day, but a different Tuesday. So Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 20th, will be our 1-year anniversary show. It'll be an hour long as usual, but we're going to be doing some really fun, exciting things. I have some awesome giveaways set up. I've got books from John Grayson, Freedom from OCD, Marissa Mazza, the OCD Act Workbook, Fred in the Refrigerator, Shala Nicely, Lisa Coyne, Stuff That's Loud. I have some really, sorry, I was reading Noah's comment about inaccuracy. And Noah, email me if you have more questions and we can talk. But I have some really, really great resource giveaways. We'll be giving away $20 gift cards to the OCD merchandise store, so you can get shirts, hoodies, pins. And we'll also be giving away, I'm really excited about this, I'll be giving away a guest spot on a future Just Ethan, where as you said, you can come on and advocate and tell us about your story and share your story. I get emails all the time about how people can come on and share their story. So I wanted to do something really cool where we can offer that opportunity. So I think we're still in creative process. I think we're going to do trivia questions and questions from previous live streams and just do tons and tons and tons. I really have a ton of giveaways, so you're not going to want to miss it. Great books, great merchandise, and a guest spot as well. And it's continuing to grow. Who knows what else we may have. With that being said, from then on, it will be every other Tuesday starting on 10/20. So I've shifted every other Tuesdays now with Liz's schedule. So Tuesday, 10/20, mark your calendars from there. Every other Tuesday will be at Just Ethan, 7 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday the 20th, Just Ethan. With that, on Monday, 10/19, as we said before, Lunch and Learn with Dr. Liz. It'll be on OCD and PTSD, which is a really, really important topic. I suffered from PTSD related to my OCD. She'll be having guest Chad Wetternick. You will not want to miss it. That'll be at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time on Monday. I think that just about covers it. As always, you can also email the IOCDF at info@iocdf.org if you'd like to further engage the IOCDF on ways to advocate, questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. We'll go ahead and put that email address up as well. As always, I want to thank the International OCD Foundation, not only for today, but for an amazing week. I hope you enjoyed all the programming. It's been really an incredible week. It's been all virtual, but I think we've really, really done, they've done an incredible job with programming and outreach and all the good stuff. So I want to thank the IOCDF, and I definitely want to thank Jessica behind the scenes for she worked her butt off. She does all the social media posting and everything. So thank you, Jessica, for all the work that you've done this week as well. If you haven't already and you want to be notified about all the programming the IOCDF is having over the next month in terms of streams and other things, be sure to subscribe and follow on Facebook and YouTube, or so Facebook and Twitter. You can also follow on Instagram and YouTube. And we've just recently added Twitch. Twitch is where we do our live trivias. So feel free to subscribe. You'll be notified anytime we go live. Again, you can also check the online calendar for upcoming virtual content and live streams. So with all of that, thank you so much for spending Friday afternoon, early afternoon with me. And if you're on the Pacific, it's still morning. Like I said, as always, you can contact me at justethan@iocdf.org or the foundation at info@iocdf.org. So until then, she is a real MVP, for real. Jessica's a real MVP. She's awesome. So, yep. And there's the info@iocdf.org email. So feel free to email them as well. So until then, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay vigilant, feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. And I will see you Tuesday. Do not miss this. Tuesday, 1 year anniversary, 7 p.m. Eastern. Lots of books, lots of merch.